Troy Tulowitzki has been raging hot, 4 for 6 in this series. Garrett Atkins gets the start at third base. Ian Stewart, for only the third time in the last 2 months, will play second base with Clint Varmus, who's been ice cold getting the first game off. Rockies losing the last 2 to fall out of the wild card lead, and Johan Santana will try and keep them right there.
Well, you can see his numbers so far in the season. Those strikeouts, 120 and 130 innings. Most of those were in the first half of the season, as Santana has struggled a little bit to put hitters away, but he has a formidable lineup against these Rockies today. And Alexis Met's defense. Is it hard to believe, Francoeur? This is already his 15th game in right field. That wrist feeling much better after getting hit in the hand by the hit pitch. Pagan in center field. Sullivan done a nice job in left field. Right, Barroa, of course, getting the start. Cora at second base with Castillo away. Murphy at first base, and Santos doing the catch.
Now, you don't see this very much. Look at this young man. That's a bullet.
Sweet. It's nice to see someone who can throw the baseball correctly. We love it.
Mets made one player move before the game today. They have brought up Robinson Cancel because Brian Schneider's knee has been a little achy. They have designated Elmer Descends for assignment, so they're back to 12 pitchers. Dexter Fowler leads things off. First pitch by Santana is ball 1, and we're underway in the day-night doubleheader.
I'll leave it to you, my friend. The reason Castillo is not in the lineup, Barroa and Cora, personal issues for Luis.
2-0 to Fowler. Well, Luis's wife is having a baby this morning, and there's a possibility he could be back before the end of game 1. He more likely will be back here for the game tonight. Fowler pops one foul, and it's 2-1.
In fact, when Jerry was talking about it, he said that Luis was going to be away, but he was hoping that he would be back definitely by the second game, and that lets me know that he's said that to Louis, that we could really use you. There's Robinson Cancel next to Brian Schneider.
And there's one on the outside corner, the changeup from Santana, 2-2. Dexter Fowler, National League Rookie of the Year candidate, hitting just .253, but a .357 on base percentage, respectable. Third in the league in stolen bases, tied for the league lead in sacrifice bunts. And he works a 3-2 count leading off the game.
Well, this should be a good matchup for Santana with the home plate umpire. Sam Holbrook is a guy that's always had a pretty large strike zone.
And he gets him with a fastball to open the day.
Well, good fastball up in the strike zone. Occasionally you saw Santos sitting inside. That's where he wanted the baseball, and you say to yourself, Santana missed. He's not trying to throw the ball to that zone. He's just trying to throw it as hard as he can at 3-2.
Sam Holbrook is the home plate umpire. Mike Estabrook fills in because of the doubleheader. Dan Iasonia gets the first game off. Charlie Relaford, the crew chief, and Larry Vanover rounding out the crew. Ryan Spilborg's hitting second in the order, 0 for 6 in this series, hitting at .250 on the year. And Santana evens the count 1-1. You mentioned the drop off in strikeouts, Ronnie, and it's been startling because in his first 10 starts this year, Santana had 86 strikeouts in 66 innings. 1-2 to Spilborgs, but over the last 10 starts, only 34 strikeouts in 64 innings. You've got to go back 103 years to find a pitcher who had that many strikeouts in his first 10 starts and that few in his next 10. Rube Waddell in 1906.
Amazing. Well, think about it. In his last 10 starts, he hasn't had more strikeouts than 5. 7 of his last 10, 3 or less. And that's very strange. How do you explain that? I'll tell you a couple of ways. One, see that fastball inside the right-handers? He has not been placing that like he did earlier in the season. And I think second, he's just been a tiny bit short with his fastball, around the 90, 91 instead of 92, 93.
In the air to center field, Pagan looking at it through the sunshine. And he grabs it for the second out. So 2 out and nobody on. Now, when you say he's a little short with his fastball, what does that tell you?
Well, I think it tells you that there's certain parts of the year that a guy goes through, not a dead arm period, because it's certainly not that, but it's a period where you're really trying to I don't know, you have a period where you're just not on top of your game. I think that's where Santana's been the last 4 or 5 starts. That being said, it doesn't matter if he throws 88 or 92. He can still get by because he is a pitcher, not a thrower.
Facing Todd Helton with 2 out and nobody on. And Hilton fouls it back, and it's 0-2. Hilton 4th in the National League in batting right now at .323, and 8th in the league in on-base percentage at .407. Brad Hopp on deck. The Rockies are 2nd in the National League in runs scored, 2nd in home runs. Good offensive team. The amazing thing about the Rockies this year, they have hit more home runs on the road than they have at Coors Field. And that just never used to happen. Jim Tracy took over as manager in late May and has been enormously successful since Clint Hurdle was let go.
Well, Clint Hurdle was one of those guys. He's a former teammate of mine. I love him.
And it's, by the way, it's Clint's birthday today.
Oh,
so
it is.
So be nice.
Okay. No, I am being nice. I played with him for a whole season in AAA, and can I tell you, he was just a pip to be around.
Out to left center field, converging on it Sullivan and Pagan, and Sullivan has it. A 1-2-3 opening inning for Johan Santana. Mets come to bat against Jason Hamill. No score. .12:10 start, so all the kids from the various camps around the area can come see the entire game. And you see the groups there in their colorful shirts filling the promenade level today as you check out the Geico starting lineup. No Luis Castillo, and so Alex Cora moves to second base, a position he hadn't played much lately. He's been the everyday shortstop with Reyes out. Angel Baroa moves in to play short. Otherwise, the same lineup the Mets have been going with day after day through this winning streak.
Well, Gary, you mentioned Jason Hamill came over from the Tampa Bay Rockies. You can see his numbers, 4.28, but he has been outstanding on the road. 4-2 with a 1.93 ERA.
Just a stunning differential between Hamill's home and road numbers. Angel Pagan 1 for 8 in this series, hitting at .295. And he pulls one down to Helton, and that's the first out of the inning.
You know, for you fans at home, the Mets should be so motivated on this day, because this is a chance really to have one of those great days and win 2 and get back in this thing. But mentally, if you're stronger than the other team, you simply can really win these games just mentally by being strong and happy to be here and can't wait to play too. An Ernie Banks kind of feeling.
Here's Alex Cora hitting second in the order, and he takes ball 1. And the Rockies have had their travel plans disrupted. They were supposed to leave after the early day game today, get to Cincinnati, maybe have a nice dinner tonight. Now they won't be getting into Cincinnati till well after midnight. 1-1, and you wonder, does that play with the team mentally?
I think it does. I think also, you know, they've lost the first 2 games. They've got a matchup of Hamill and Santana, which is not their favorable matchup. They probably have a little better matchup in the second game with Nice, of course, the rookie, going against De La Rosa. who has been on fire, 7 straight wins.
2-1 to Cora. And Alex lines one to center field. That'll fall for a base hit. So Cora, who had 2 hits in the game on Tuesday night, has a base hit his first time up today.
Well, here's the defense for the Rockies. Fowler's been unbelievable as a rookie. Spielborg's and Hop on either side. Atkins, Tulowitzki, Stewart, and Helton. And you see Iannetta throwing out 9 out of 42 base stealers this year. So the Mets should try to use their speed against the Rockies in this first game.
David Wright bats with the man aboard. David riding a 7-game hitting streak right now, hitting .400 over the 7 games. And you see 5th in the National League in batting as this game begins. Also 7th in the league in doubles, 4th in on-base percentage. Pagan has stolen 8 bases. Cora has stolen 8 bases this year. Has a very short lead, and Wright takes low for ball 1. David 4 for 6 in this series. Mets won Monday night 7-3, and then Tuesday night 4-0. Behind some great pitching by Mike Pelfrey. 1-1 to Wright.
Well, a good changeup from Hamill right there. Had Wright way out in front. It's Daniel Murphy on deck. What a play he made in that Pelfrey game. That double play. That was 1st and 3rd, nobody out, in trouble.
Yeah, Wright takes a fastball for a strike, 1-2. Mentioned Jason Hamill, 1.93 ERA on the road, 7.20 at home.
Mile high on the brain, that's what that's called.
You know, for the most part, the Rockies pitching staff has overcome fear of Coors Field. Heck, they're in the top half of the league in pitching this year. Gets away momentarily for Iannetta. Cora takes off, and he is thrown out at second base. That ball took a favorable bounce for Iannetta right back to him after the ball briefly got away.
Well, this is the play that the Mets worked on in spring training. The thing he got unlucky about, Alex, is that he saw it bounce high. He thought it would get far away from Iannetta. Good tag there by Smith. The problem, Stewart, I'm sorry. The problem is it hit David Wright. The bounce up came and hit David and went right back to Chris.
So it's a 2-4 putout, no caught stealing, since he was trying to advance on a potential wild pitch. Just a bad break there as Cora gets thrown out. There are those numbers for Hamill. Just stark. By far the largest such differential in the majors. 3-2 now to Wright.
Well, in this order, he's a sinker ball, changeup, breaking pitch kind of pitcher. His breaking pitches, secondary pitches, still not in line of where he wants them to be. A little inconsistent.
3-2 to Wright. Pulled foul.
I have no problem with that Alex Cora play, by the way. Just got unlucky.
Got unlucky, no question. I mean, if that ball doesn't hit David Wright, Cora is safe at second.
I like aggressive. Be aggressive, especially early in the game. Just did not work out.
Again, the 3-2. Hit to right center field. Over goes Hop in the gap, and he runs it down to end the inning. That's it done in the bottom of the first. Brett Hop up to lead off the second for the Rockies with no score. Kids on hand today. You're also friendly.
They are. What a great day, right?
It really is. Great day to park at the ballpark, because most days
right.
you want to take mass transit, but today all these kids come on buses.
That's right.
A lot more parking spaces for the rest of us.
45 per space.
Brad Hopp leads off in the second inning against Johan Santana and fouls off the slider. Hopp hitting a .319, 7th in the National League. Mets have held him in check in this series, just 2 for 9. Went to the All-Star game this year for the first time. It's been a breakout season for Hopp. And he grounds one foul outside first, and it's 0-2. It'll be Hopp, then Troy Tulowitzki and Garrett Atkins for the Rockies, who looked like their season was dead and buried back in May. But then after making the managerial change, everything turned around for Colorado.
He went 36-16 under Tracy on his first 52 ball games, 36-18 now after coming here to Citi Field. The Rockies have not fared very well in Flushing.
Well, that's for certain. They lost 18 of their last 20 games at Shea Stadium, and now they've lost the first 2 here. So that's 20 of the last 22 they've lost on the road to the Mets. And there are the up-to-date wild card standings. The Giants beating the Pirates yesterday to take that half-game lead. And the Giants made another deal. They've gotten Ryan Garco a couple of days ago. Now they picked up Freddie Sanchez, so now they have a new right side of the infield. And for a team that was pitching as well as anybody in baseball, but had been a little offensively lacking, maybe the Giants have made the kind of moves they need to try and keep that lead. 1-2 to Hopp, and it's grounded out to Alex Cora, playing on the right side today, and he throws out Hopp for the first down.
A welcome respite for Alex with the throw from second base with that torn ligaments in his thumb. Alex Cora can play anywhere. You know why? Look at those beautiful mechanics. The glove down, out in front of him, head on the ball. I don't know who taught Alex and Joey, his brother, but whoever did taught them both the right way.
Here's Troy Tulowitzki. Well, you know who Alex has an enormous amount of praise and respect for? Is Jim Tracy, because it was Tracy who first gave Alex a full-time job in Los Angeles when Tracy was the Dodgers manager. He said he showed an enormous amount of faith in Alex and in Cesar Izturis, who made a great double play combination.
They were as good as any up the middle. Probably rivaled Alex Gonzalez and Luis Castillo when they were in Florida.
Oh, 2 to Tulowitzki, who's had a great series so far. And Santana works him inside, 1-2. The other thing that Cora said about Jim Tracy, he said there's nothing fake about him.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's what players ask for from their manager more than anything else, is honesty and straight shooting. Swing and a miss. He got him with a changeup. Santana gets Tulowitzki for his second strikeout.
Well, good changeup, down and away. Has a lot of life on this changeup today from Santana. That has not always been the case in his last start.
Well, the last game, there was one inning where his changeup was really working against the Astros, but the rest of the time it just looked like it was floating up there.
Well, he has 2 changeups. One, he'll get around and work the ball to the inside corner to the right-handers, and one he'll fade away to the right-handed hitters. And I think he looked like he was in between. He didn't know which way he wanted to go.
Facing Garrett Atkins, who's getting the start at third base today. And he pops one foul. It's 0-2. Atkins pretty much lost his job earlier this season. This is a guy who put together 3 tremendous seasons. In 06, Garrett Atkins hit .329 with 29 homers and 120 RBIs. This year he's hit .224 with 6 homers and 30 RBIs. It's been a downward spiral for him. 1-2 to Atkins.
And he just always had a very short, compact swing for such a big player. I mean, this is a guy that's 6'2", 6'3", 230, 240 pounds. But to me now, he's in a little bit of a crouch. His swing has gotten a little bigger, and exploiting that weakness has really been Santana, who's pounding him inside with fastballs. You
know, it's interesting you say that, because they have made Tulowitzki stand up straighter, and you wonder whether Atkins could benefit from the same. He's got more of a Jeff Bagwell seated approach now.
Well, there's the reason they did it for Tulowitzki and why it might work for Atkins is that if you sit down, it's all right, but you've got to stay on that plane. You've got to stay crouched the whole way. If you stand up at all, and you watch Atkins, he's down on that crouch, watch his head. It'll move slightly up as the ball comes. No chance to keep it on the same plane.
And Santana's retired the first 6, struck out 3 of the 6, so he's off to a hot start. Daniel Murphy to lead off the bottom of the 2nd when we come back. Studio City, California, Janet wants to know, Ronnie, can you explain what a pitcher's arm feels like immediately after the game? This is a great question.
Yeah, Janet, outstanding. What does it feel like after the game? Very interesting. Most starting pitchers, after you've done pitching in the game, you go in the trainer's room and they have the bands and the weights, and you'll do different little weights with your arm to try to strengthen up that rotator cuff, try to strengthen up that elbow. But right after the game, your arm does not feel that bad. You're mentally fatigued. I mean, literally, if you have one of those shutout games where everything's working, you can't even add 2 + 2. That's how sapped your brain is. But your arm doesn't feel too bad. Now, the next day, that's something different. That's where your arm has all the edema in it. It really has a dull, awful ache. And usually, by the time you've done your running and really start to get the blood flowing again, that's when your arm starts to feel a little better. And you get, it really is a step-by-step basis. And by the 5th day, you feel good again. But the next day after you throw is the hardest.
Murphy rips one down the right field line. And as Hop chases it in the corner, Murphy cruises into second base with a leadoff double. So Murphy, who had a double his first time up in the game on Tuesday night, does it again.
And I think even more importantly, Gary, it's another double down the right field line as Daniel Murphy has told everyone that he's going to start looking in a little bit because the pitchers are starting to pound him in. So intelligently, he's picking the spot where he thinks he's going to get that pitch. And you know what he's doing? He's hitting that pitch, and that's even more impressive.
17th double of the year, so Jeff Francoeur with an immediate RBI opportunity, and boy, is he taking advantage of those. 16 RBIs in 14 games as a Met. In fact, he's driven in a run in 5 straight games. And he grounds one through the hole for a base hit. Murphy will be held at third as Hop hits the cutoff man, and the Mets have first and third and nobody out. So Francoeur, first pitch swinging, that's his forte.
You know what's amazing is that sometimes you'll get a hitter who's been struggling like Francoeur was when he came over from Atlanta, and just because the circumstances of the game, they're making him a better hitter. Guy on second, no outs, he's trying to shoot that ball to the right side, and that natural swing is revealing him to be a better hitter than he was in Atlanta. Very nice work.
I got a question. If you're a pitcher and you know Jeff Francoeur and what his proclivity is, how often he swings at the first pitch, I think it's almost 50% of the time, why would you throw him a strike on the first pitch?
Dunce cap, Gary. He needs a dunce cap. I mean, obviously, you would do one of two things. And I think he did try to do it. The call from Minaya was a fastball in. You have to bury that ball, and you don't throw it in for a strike. You throw it in on the plate that moves in off the plate, sort of like the pitch he got hit with by Marquis. Or, even more importantly, throw a little breaking ball on the outside part, let him pull it, and that'll be to the left side. Murphy cannot advance.
Sullivan 3 for 18, and he lines one into center field for a base hit. That'll bring home Murphy with the first run of the game. 3 straight hits, all hit hard, and it's 1-0 New York. Sullivan low bridging Jason Hamill and driving in his 3rd run for the Mets.
Well, no one's enjoying these hits more than Corey Sullivan, the ex-Rocky. Not a bad pitch there by Hamill, but a beautiful job of keeping his head on the baseball, extending that swing, and straight back through the box by Corey Sullivan.
So the Mets picking up offensively where they left off the first 2 games of this series. And now Omar Santos, who has a long day ahead of him with Brian Schneider's knee barking. Jerry Manuel intends to play Omar at both ends of this day-night doubleheader.
Well, usually when we have a talk about our ILTV pitch differential, we always talk about the ball being up in the strike zone. This one was below and really just dropped the bat like he was a hockey star there, Corey Sullivan. Hitting that ball just above the dirt.
Santos 0 for 4 in this series, hitting at .264. Still nobody out. Frank Kerr at second and Sullivan at first with a run home. Let's try to get some mileage out of the lower part of the order. Remember, with Castillo not playing and Corey hitting second, Angel Baroa is batting 8th, and he's on deck. So a big spot here for Santos. And Hamill falls behind him 2-0.
And if Angel had showed a little more offensively, this might be a part with Atkins back deep early in the count. Omar could have thought of maybe laying one down, moving the runners ahead, but with Baroa 8th and Santana 9th, certainly Santos a better RBI man.
Back up the middle. Tulowitzki can't get it. That'll bring home Frank Kerr. 4 straight hits for New York, and they lead 2-0. Omar Santos with the RBI single. Drives in his 28th run of the year.
Well, Bob Apodaca, the former Met and great pitching coach for the Colorado Rockies out there. Another ball down in the strike zone. And you say to yourself, that's not that bad of a pitch. Why was this a base hit? Well, the count was 2-0. Santos could start to bat a little earlier. Back through the box. Nice try by Tulowitzki. And the Mets with the early lead for their ace pitcher, Santana. This team approach by the Mets has been a thing of beauty. Again, this ball was down below where he wanted it, but it was inside more in the middle of the plate than away. And you say to yourself, well, what does that make a difference? If that ball's away and Santos tries to hit that ball in the middle, that's going to be more to the shortstop, and it would have probably been a double play.
Now, how do you maneuver here with Baroa? You've got the pitcher on deck. You're probably not going to bunt in front of Santana.
Yeah, it might hurt Angel's feelings, by the way. But I think because you got a couple runs on the board, I think if Angel is not able to get a hit or pops up or strikes out, you still have the option of the bunt with Santana to get back to the top of your order.
Of course, what you fear here is the double play.
Of course.
Baroa 1 for 11 since joining the Mets, 4 for 33 overall in the majors this year, including his time with the Yankees, and he takes a strike from Hamill.
Former Rookie of the Year, outpaced Mr. Hideki Matsui that year for the Rookie of the Year.
Sullivan and Santos, the base runners, with nobody out. Mets trying to put together a big inning here in the second. So Hamill, who had the road ERA under 2 coming into the day, has already seen that surpassed in this inning.
You know, these Rockies just do not like it here in Queens, I'll tell you that.
Rockies' first ever game in their history in 1993 was played at Shea Stadium. They were shut out that day by Dwight Gooden. So they started poorly in Flushing, and it hasn't gotten a whole lot better.
I sometimes forget because, you know, I was shipped off. I forget how long Dwight played for this organization. I really do sometimes.
He pitched 11 years for this team.
Amazing.
Came up in '84, and his last year was '94. Some bumps in the road, obviously, along the way, but he was a huge part of this franchise for a long time.
And Baroa lines a base hit into right center field. Sullivan comes in to score. Play deep in the gap and bobbled out there by Hop. That'll bring home Santos, and Baroa goes all the way to third. 4-0 New York. Noon time, the perfect time for Angel Baroa.
Again, beautiful hitting here by another Mets hitter. Ball in the middle of the plate, not trying to do too much, stroking that ball the other way. And of course a misplay here by Hop. Well, really, Hop and Fowler both misplayed that, and Angel busting out of the box with a look, really thinks he has a double here, but looks at his coach, razor shines, gets the pickup, and makes his way to third base.
They're going to score that a double. And then an error charged to Fowler, I guess, for interfering with Hop's ability to pick up the ball. So it's a double, 2 RBIs, and then the error allows Baroa to go to third. Now Santana with a runner at third. They have to bring the infield in. Still nobody out. 5 straight hits. And Santana trying to add to it, fouls it off.
Still waiting for my man Santana to get his first one. Had a swing at it right there.
He never gets cheated on his swing. Veteran Josh Fogg gets up in the bullpen with Hamill getting tattooed. 5 straight hits, and they've all been hit hard. 1-2 to Santana. Angel Baroa, his second extra base hit of the season. His first one came as a Yankee, also a double. And Santana down swinging on the pitch in the dirt. That'll force Iannetta to throw it down to first. Well, you don't see pitchers sprint for first base at a ball in the dirt like that very often.
Well, most pitchers don't even know the ball in the dirt you're supposed to run, but Santana is an athlete, knows the game, knows how to play the game, but disappointed they're not making any contact.
That's the first out of the inning. So the infield will have to stay in now with Angel Pagan coming up, and certainly the possibility of a squeeze play is present.
Well, you saw it on your road trip that Jerry's not afraid to use that play. I personally would not use it here. You got a 4-0 lead. You got your leadoff hitter who's been pretty hot. Let him swing the bat.
So you're saying don't give up an out?
Yes. You saw in that one series, you saw the Houston Astros kind of play themselves out of a big inning with that play at the plate. Kind of ran themselves out of the inning. I think here with the Mets, I would think as a manager, I've got 2 shots here to get this runner in. Don't need a hit right here, just a fly ball. Now you'll see Razor gives the sign, and then he'll always go over and talk to the third base runner on third base. Why do I mention that? You want to do that every single time. Because when the squeeze is put on by a third base coach, he will give the signs to the batter. The batter will acknowledge that he got the sign, whether he touches his cap, rubs his chest, chokes up on the bat, and then Shines will go back to the runner on third and say, "Did you get that, brother? It's on. Let's go."
1-1 to Pagan. And Angel takes a curveball for a strike. 1-2. It all started with a double by Daniel Murphy into the right field corner. Jeff Frank Kerr moved him to third with a base hit. Corey Sullivan hit one up the middle to drive in a run. So did Omir Santos, and then Baroa doubled for 2 more. Grounded down toward first, a foul ball. The Mets have been putting up some bigger innings of late. They had a 4-run inning in the first game of this series, of course, on Tatis's grand slam. But there was a long stretch of time when 4 runs in a game felt like too big a hurdle for the Mets.
If I were Angel Baroa, I would really get a nice lead here at third, and hopefully Jerry's putting the contact play on. What do I mean by that? If Angel Pagan hits a ground ball, if an Angel and an Angel, I'll get it right. If he hits the ball on the ground in the infield, you want him to come. If he's going to be a dead duck, then just get in a rundown, because Angel Pagan has enough speed to get to second base back in scoring position.
Now, if you're the runner at third on a contact play, you have to make sure that ball clears the pitcher, don't you?
You do, and that's the hard call for a runner at third.
Just inside, 2-2. I mean, you don't want to hesitate too much to make sure, so it's just reading the ball off the bat.
It's reading the ball off the bat and reading the ball out of the hand of the pitcher. And sometimes you can catch the catcher. He sits inside. You know the ball is going to be inside. Probably not going to be up the middle. He'll probably pull it.
Grounded toward the hole and a base hit. So with the infield playing in, Pagan takes advantage by driving in Baroa. 6 hits in the inning and a 5-0 Met lead. 7th run batted in for Angel Pagan.
Jim Tracy taking a look at his pen, seeing if Fogg's ready. You know, the great thing about the game, guys, is you don't have to hit home runs. You can play nice team offensive baseball, put the ball in play like Pagan did with 2 strikes, and good things can happen.
It's only the 5th time this year the Mets have had 5 or more runs in an inning. They've knocked Jason Hamill out of the box with 1 out in the 2nd. This call to the bullpen brought to you by Lincoln Mercury. Xerox document services provided to the Mets. Xerox ready for real business. Here's Mets' upcoming schedule. Remember, all Mets games on SNY are available in HD, presented by IOTV. And if you're in the car, listen to every game on Sports Radio 66 WFAN. We've got second half of the day-night doubleheader tonight, necessitated by yesterday's rainout. Then 4 with the Diamondbacks starting tomorrow night, and 2 with the Cardinals before this homestand wraps up, as the veteran Josh Fogg comes on in long relief for the Rockies.
And he pitched in last night's game, struggled a lot with his slider, and that all that great information I gave you about Hamill and his road record, never mind, as he gives up at least 5 at this point.
Still only 1 out in the inning. First time since the 7th of June that the Mets have scored 5 in an inning. Well, it's from the Gary, Keith, and Ron event.
Very nice. They made us look like we're on Mount Rushmore.
And they've got little Gary, Keith, and Ron flags.
And appropriately, Keith in the middle. Bully.
Well, but you see that Mount Rushmore shirt as the runner goes, and it's grounded down to Helton, whose only play is to first. And that's the second out as Pagan takes second. On that Mount Rushmore shirt, if you look at it closely, you'll see that Keith's hair is actually rock. See that?
Oh, wow.
So you've got hair, and I'm kind of why I have no hair anyway. But Keith kind of has rock hair. But it's only right because he's a rock star.
It's better to have rock hair than be a rock head, I'll tell you that. There's Keith. Wear the mustache. Look at that. It's all askew, though. Come on.
Well, it's fake.
I know, but look in the mirror. Let's go.
Here's David Wright, the 9th man up in the inning. David flying to right his first time up. And he takes a strike. Anyway, a big Gary, Keith, and Ron event up in the Pepsi porch today. And if you're interested in participating in the next one, please go to GaryKeithandRon.com for all the information. 1-1 to right. When Josh Fogg had himself quite an excruciating outing night before last. He walked 3. He threw a wild pitch. He gave up a hit and somehow was only tagged with 1 run. But it took him about an hour and a half to do it.
And that was the night after Juan Rincon, the veteran, reliable right-hander, had difficulty throwing strikes.
Pagan takes off for third. Right dumps one into shallow right center, but back to play it is Stewart to end the inning. So the Mets send 9 men to bat for the first time since the 7th of June. They put together a 5-run inning. Murphy and Frank Kerr got it started. Corey Sullivan, Omar Santos, and Angel Baroa with big hits to help plate 5 and give Johan Santana a comfortable lead. Colorado Rockies who trail 5-0 against Johan Santana, who's faced 6 and retired 6 so far today.
He's been a bearer of gifts at times, definitely. Mr. Santana. Important inning. I mean, we say it all the time, and I'm sorry if we sound like a broken record, but within the concept of a game, when your team throws a crooked number up like that, just get them right back in the dugout to do some more damage.
Ian Stewart early in the season was playing most of the second base for the Rockies. More recently, he's been the third baseman, but he's getting the start at second base today with Clint Varmus getting a game off. Only the third time in the last 2 months that Stewart's played second, and he has not even been taking ground balls there of late, but he said he'd be okay to play there for a day.
It's unusual for a guy to switch positions that has not been prepared for, but Stewart's one of those rough and tumble kind of guys that could have played seasons ago in wool pants. He just is a rough and ready to go, just wants to play anywhere.
Rolls over 1 down to first base, and Murphy will take it himself. 7 up and 7 down for Santana. Time for Ron's inside pitch on Johan Santana, part of the business of baseball, brought to you by Xerox, ready for real business.
Well, if you're looking at Santana and you're a Colorado Rocky hitter, you want to look for that inside fastball from both sides of the plate, left-handed hitter or right-handed hitter, because he is going to be aggressive. If you're a left-handed hitter like Hopper Helton, you're going to see a lot of sliders. You're going to be ready to go the other way. And if you get behind the big power pitch that he's going to put you away on, like he did with Tulowitzki, is that changeup down and away.
Chris Iannetta, the catcher, hitting 8th in the order, 1 for 3 in this series. In the air to left field, shallow, and Sullivan coming on. So 2 out. And Santana rolling along early on in this game. 8 up and 8 retired. And now the pitcher Josh Fogg, who came on in relief in the second inning. The first time this year, by the way, that the Mets have knocked out an opposing starter this early. The previous shortest outings against the Mets had been 2 1/3. Daniel Cabrera of the Orioles and of the Nationals, and Jamie Moyer of the Phillies each went 2 1/3 earlier in the year. But Jason Hamill today lasting only 1 1/3.
Fogg, a career 120 hitter coming into the season, pitched in Pittsburgh, Colorado, Cincinnati. So he's had a few at bats, 212 coming into the year. As Dexter Fowler waits on deck. Fowler, we were talking about it yesterday, didn't we, Gary? He looks like the front runner, isn't he, in the National League for Rookie of the Year, where no one's really distinguished themselves.
You know, I was thinking about this because I was remembering Troy Tulowitzki's rookie season from 2 years ago, and in most years, Tulowitzki would have won the Rookie of the Year, but that was such a heavy class in terms of candidates. Ryan Braun beat him out. Of course, Braun had a spectacular year. And Fogg picks up the first base hit of the day for the Rockies. So after Santana had set down the first 8, it is the long relief man who gets the first hit.
That's going to be interesting. Maybe Elias will do this for us. What have Santana's numbers been against opposing pitchers since he's come to the Mets? They're very strange. Not only from the walks standpoint, you give up the grand slam to Felix Hernandez.
Yeah, you're right.
You know what I mean? It's.
I think he's walked the opposing pitcher like 6 times this year.
Well, last start, he got taken deep by Mike Hampton, right?
I got one for you. What do you think the last time is in any major league game that a relief pitcher got the first hit for his team?
That's unusual.
Right?
You're right.
When does that ever happen? And we'll send Bob Waterman with Elias scurrying. I'm sure he'll have an answer for us by the end of the day.
Sorry, Bob. I know it's a day game. I apologize. We're going to be here for 9 hours.
Hey, he's already sent us a couple of good notes already today.
I'll buy you a beer after the doubleheader.
Fowler struck out his first time up, and he fouls one back. For instance, Bob sent over the note that the Mets with 5 straight hits, matching their season high. They did it June 29th in Milwaukee, 5 straight hits. We got Bob, we got Dave Freed in the booth. We don't have to come up with anything on our own.
Thank God.
It's like they're giving us lunch. Check swing, foul ball, and Fowler's still in there. But it has certainly not been an overwhelming rookie field this year. And it's funny how those things go in waves sometimes. Fowler, just 23 years old. He's offered a baseball scholarship to Miami and a basketball scholarship to Harvard. Swing and a miss, and Santana has his 4th strikeout. So Santana, who's not been striking out many lately, is on his K game today, and he's got himself a 5-0 lead as Murphy gets set to lead off in the 2nd straight inning. Among the camp groups. like one of the counselors, and he's in from out of town.
Those are some bright shirts, huh?
The whole point is so they don't get lost. You'll never lose them in that garb.
Not huge lines yet today.
Well, there's a long day of eating ahead for many of these fans. Imagine if you're coming to both games of the day-night doubleheader.
I have some friends that are coming to both games today, so I guess after the first game they'll have to exit the stadium, right? Go over to their local place, hang out for a while, and come back.
Daniel Murphy led off the 5-run second inning with a double to the right field corner, and Fogg works him outside for ball one. Let me ask you this. Does Jerry Manuel have to do a post-game press conference and a pre-game press conference between games?
Well, I know he'll definitely do a post-game press conference, but I think that he will blow off the one prior to the second game. By the way, I think the whole Mets organization would like a day off from the press conference, by the way. There's Jerry.
Murphy lifts one to left field. That chase is Spilborgh's back. It's carrying well, but Spilborgh's back to grab it. One away.
It was interesting. Jerry was talking the other day about Frank Thor's influence since he's been here. And, you know, we've talked about how much energy he's brought. But Jerry said the thing that he loved was the way he fills in with his teammates. He is mixed in completely. They had that off day in Houston. He played golf with the guys. He was a big part of the big league dinner where all the players get together and have dinner together. And that he has not been shy about talking about his football exploits as a schoolboy. Although I did tell Jerry that that makes Frank Thor the second best schoolboy football player in Mets uniform.
John Stearns?
Behind Jerry.
Jerry.
Right. Behind Jerry.
Frank Kerr pops up to Atkins for the second one. I was thinking, though, that nobody ever bragged about their football exploits more than John Stearns. A day did not go by when he didn't hear about the great Colorado linebacker / defensive back.
And he showed everyone one day when he tackled the crazy crowd. No, Chief Nakahoma.
In Atlanta?
And Atlanta was, when the game would start, he would sprint down the left field line to go to his tent. And as he was going, John Stearns, who was not playing that day, came out of the Mets dugout and just leveled him with a blindside tackle that if it happened today, it would have been a lawsuit for forget about.
Well, I don't know if you know about the collision at home plate between John Stearns and Dave Parker. The one where Stearns blocked him over his shoulder and Parker basically hit the backstop on the fly.
Really?
I mean, you know how big Dave Parker was and how strong.
Where was bad dude? Colorado defensive back?
Yeah. But a hitting defensive back. Kind of like a linebacker. Sullivan down swinging to end the inning. So the Mets go 1-2-3 and lead at 5-0. We'll be right back, but first here's Matt Cerrone from MetsBlog.com at the Verizon studio for a quick update on what the fans are thinking. High-speed pitch. Johan Santana's gotten it up to 93 this afternoon. Josh Fogg, who's retired 5 in a row in relief for the Rockies, has gotten to 88. And Santana takes them out for the fourth, working with a 5-0 lead. It'll be Ryan Spilborghs, Todd Helton, and Brad Hopp up for the Rockies in the fourth. Spilborghs flying to center his first time up. And Santana works him away with a changeup, ball one. Spilborghs splitting time in left field with Seth Smith these days. By the way, watching Santana today, another lefty is on the mend for the Mets. It looks like Billy Wagner will start his minor league rehab assignment this Saturday. And who would have ever thought that among all the Mets wounded, Wagner would be the closest to coming back?
My hat's off to Wags. He's just he's tough as nails, man. You know, he's worked hard at it, and he also has delivered. He said he would be back by the end of the season, and knocking on wood that there's no setbacks. It'll be something to see him up here. And if the Mets can get back in this thing, how about having him setting up K-Rod late in the game?
Rolled out to shortstop where Baroa's got it, and he retires Spilborghs one away. Well, the thing about it is, if you think about if the Mets were to make a minor move, one of the areas they'd like to help themselves is to get a second lefty in the bullpen to help out Feliciano. They've got Pat Mish, but he's more slotted into a longer relief role. But if Wagner's available in a few weeks, that's your second lefty right there.
And second lefty going up against the lefties for Philadelphia.
Which you know he'll love to do anyway. No team that Billy likes to face more than the Phillies. Helton check swings one foul. 1-1. Helton flied to left his first time up.
And you love to see the pitch that got him out in the first inning. Really a ball middle of the plate, but just up enough out of the strike zone for Helton. That really was maybe 2 inches higher than Helton wants to swing at it. Lower 2, it's usually a bullet from him.
Lines one the other way, and he's got himself a base hit. Sullivan slides to plate, and again he'll hold Helton to a single. Well, that's what Sullivan did on Tuesday night. That one was even further to the sidewall than this one. But Helton, who just doesn't run very well, winds up with only one base.
Well, Corey Sullivan can play some left field. I'll tell you, you got not only Francoeur sliding, but you got Sullivan here on the other side with a nice slide. Takes away the double, keeps the force in order. You have a chance at the double play. There's so many things defensively you can do that help your ball club.
After Helton's single on Tuesday night to lead off the fourth against Pelfrey, that's when Hopp hit into that double play that Murphy started with the diving stop at first base. And it turned what could have been a 2 or 3 run inning because of what followed into a scoreless inning for Pelfrey because of the play Sullivan made to keep the double play in order, and then the play that Murphy made to start the double play. Easy play for Sullivan. And Hopp retired, 2 down.
You know, and the good plays defensively that the Mets make, and especially Murphy, don't come out of thin air. They come from a lot of hard work. Look at that backhand. Stays on his knees, just like a quarterback corner with the strike over there to first base to Pelfrey covering the bag. Just a perfect defensive play for this ball club, and you see those numbers started tied now for the most in Major League Baseball since he's taken over at first for starting the double play.
Tied with Kendry Morales of the Angels. That was the first day Murphy played first base, was May the 20th in L.A. Tulowitzki drives one toward left center field. That's going to fall for a base hit, but Sullivan does cut it off, and that'll keep Helton from thinking about scoring. It's a double for Tulowitzki, but Sullivan with another nice play to cut that ball off in the gap and keep Helton from coming around.
Well, first pitch hitting as Tulowitzki gets the ball down. Pretty good pitch from Johan Santana. And you said if this makes it to the wall, of course, Helton is going to score. Corey Sullivan cuts it off, gets the ball back in, and now gives Santana, with 2 outs, one more chance to get out of this inning unscathed.
I mean, Tulowitzki is just the toughest batter in this lineup right now. 5 for 8 in this series. Now Garrett Atkins, who struck out his first time up. 2nd and 3rd and 2 down. And the fastball in for a strike. As a pitcher, how do you decide whether to pitch from the windup or the stretch in this spot?
I think it's where you feel most comfortable, and that can change from game to game. I think right now he just feels like he's got a nice rhythm going out of the windup, and I think also Santana's brazen enough to think that, you know what, I'm at my best today. This guy is going down. I'm going to make my pitches, and of course you can only do it with 2 outs, which he has here.
Too high to Atkins, and Santana's got that knack for taking that peek over at third base even while he's in the windup without it taking him out of his rhythm.
Well, Mr. Seaver, a pitcher for many years, could do that also. A little peek, which keeps the guy back to third. 3 straight fastballs in. Let's see if it goes back in there. He does.
2-2. Well, as a lefty, it's a little harder because you're back to the runner at third. But I guess if you peek and you see a little break from third base, you knock the hitter down.
You knock the hitter down, or with a right-handed hitter, you can just throw it 3 feet outside. O'Meara made the play.
3-2 to Atkins.
Well, I think Santana has thrown 4 fastballs in, a changeup away. At 3-2, he is going to throw a changeup down and away.
And he fouls it off.
Keith always tells me, he said, when we played together, how come you didn't help me like that? You could have let me know what was coming. I said, I wasn't as sure of it then. Back with fastball in.
And he walks Atkins. What is it? There's that perfect point in your career where you're young enough to still have your skills and old enough to know how to use them.
Yes, well, that's the classic case, especially for pitchers, where the physical talents meet and they bond with the mental ability, the intellectual pitching ability. And when that happens, you end up with a guy like Santana, who can not only think his way through a lineup now, the walk to Atkins, the left-hander up here, and Stewart, and a chance to get out of this inning.
Bases loaded, 2 down, and Stewart takes a slider for a strike. Stewart grounded out to first base his first time up. Helton is on third, Tulowitzki at second, and Atkins at first with 2 outs. Santana working with a 5-0 lead in the 4th. And Stewart can't find the fastball. It's 0-2.
And throwing 90 all game long, maybe 91, and now this one, his best fastball all game at 92.
And now ahead 0-2. Chris Iannetta hoping for a turn on deck. Santana about to throw his 70th pitch of the afternoon. Do more than he'd like. Rocket deep down the right field line, but it hooks and goes foul into the Pepsi porch. But what a shot by Ian Stewart.
This is the only problem you have with not pitching around Mr. Atkins, because he did not do that. But when you have the bases loaded here, you make one mistake, and all of a sudden, Colorado could be back in this game. But luckily, foul for Santana and the Mets. He's ahead in the count. If he's going to throw a changeup, he wants something down out of the strike zone, or maybe pinpoint fastball.
That's the hardest pitch he's thrown today at 94. And Santos is going to head out to the mound to talk to Santana after that last pitch.
And the reason he's going out there, even as great as Santana is, both pitches caught the middle of the plate. Santos wants to give him a breather, let him rest a little bit, talk about what they want to do here. They're ahead in the count. You do not want to. You work really hard as a pitcher early in the count to throw strikes over the plate, so that the rest of the at bat you don't have to throw one over the plate. And this is what he needs to do here.
Trying to get out of his first difficult inning of the day, and he misses well high. 2-2. He's gotten better as the situation has gotten more dire. Has 203 with runners on base this year. 2-2 to Ian Stewart. Stewart hanging tough. The Rockies in this series are just 1 for 15 with runners in scoring position. This is a team that is second in the National League in runs scored. They have not taken advantage of innumerable opportunities in the first 2 games. And they bypass this one as well as Santana gets Stewart to strand 3. 5 strikeouts for Johan Santana. Santana putting together a big-time bounce-back effort today. He leads 5-0. Four-game series with the Diamondbacks begins tomorrow night at 7:10. Mass transit is the faster, easier, and greener way to Citi Field. Visit Mets.com or call 718-507-TIXX for your tickets now. Home 4th inning, Omar Santos leads off against Josh Fogg, who came on in long relief in the second and has retired all 5 hitters to face him. Santos singled to center to drive in a run in the second. We ask, Elias answers. Josh Fogg today had the first hit for the Rockies after coming on in relief. Bob Waterman did his checking, and on those wonderful computers he was able to find out the last time that happened, that a relief pitcher got his team's first hit, 2006. Grounded to shortstop. Tulowitzki runs around it and throws out Santos. Ryan Vogel's song of the Pirates did it against Florida. There's your answer. Kevin Burkhardt standing by with a special guest.
Yeah, we got Chris Rock hanging out at the game today, guys. And Chris, you told me some groundbreaking news that you actually recorded a new Let's Go Mets for the video screen today. This is very exciting for us, Ryan.
Yeah, I came in just for that. Me and Timberland went into the studio, and I think we got it right this time.
You realize that the other one was played about 8 zillion times. Do you get liberties for that, or how does that work for you?
Nothing for it. Not even a hot dog. Nothing. Not a thing.
Really? Soda? Nothing?
Nothing. Nothing.
How did you become a Mets fan? I know you're a big fan. You grew up in Bed-Stuy. How did that all come about for you?
My dad used to bring me out here to see the Dodgers play. Used to love the Dodgers. So I had every year we'd come and see the Mets and the Dodgers. And if I was lucky, I'd get a couple other games. I think I saw Seaver pitch a one-hitter on a Father's Day one year or Mother's Day one year. So, yeah.
Stuck.
It just stuck. I like the Mets. Come on. What's not like, you know?
It's okay.
You know?
Let me ask you about your, I mean, you've done so many things in your career, but lately it's been, you know, in the cartoon movies like Madagascar and the Bee Movie and things like that. So I may know you for one thing. My kid knows you as a zebra in Madagascar. How do you prepare for something like that?
I become a zebra. I paint myself black and white. I run around the jungle naked. It takes a minute, but, you know, I get it together.
Are there any jungles in the New York metro area?
Oh, all over the place. You been to the Bronx?
Set myself up for that one, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Chris, what are you doing right now? What's the new project for you?
Working on a movie called Grown Ups. Me, Adam Sandler, and Kevin James. Be out next summer.
I have a feeling that'll be funny, guys.
It's funny. And I'm waiting for the Mets to get healthy. That's what I'm waiting for right now.
That would be nice. What do you think of hey, this is your first time here for LA Go. What do you think of the place?
It's beautiful. It's clean. You can eat off the ground, at least for another 10 games. Then you should eat in a plate like everybody else. But right now, you can eat off the ground.
Chris, enjoy it. Thanks for the time. All right.
Thanks a lot. Take care.
Back to you.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Chris.
Chris is great. I see him a lot in the winter. He's a big Knicks fan, too, so.
And I like the fact that he's wearing his Mets cap, his blue Mets cap. And that's a real fan.
What a concept.
1-2-3 inning for Josh Fogg, who set down 8 in a row in relief. Santana heads back to the mound for the 5th with a 5-0 lead. Adam Shine are foaming at the mouth about as they take on the biggest sports topics of the day. Your calls at each other on Loudmouths, presented by Geico, weeknights at 6 only on SNY.
Some antibiotics for that, don't they?
I don't think they really want to change. I think they're very happy, very comfortable in their own skin.
There you go. Chris
Iannetta leads off the 5th. Santana pitched himself in and out of trouble in the 4th. His pitch count up to 74 through 4. As Iannetta, who flied to left his first time up, attacks the first pitch and fouls it back. An 89-mile-an-hour fastball, which is interesting after seeing Santana dial it up to 94 in the last inning. We'll have a little bit of run to it. More like a two-seamer.
He's been throwing some two-seamers. The last probably, I don't know, maybe half dozen starts that I've seen, and I think he'll go to that two-seamer when he doesn't feel like he's got his real good fastball, if he wants to put a little sink on it, especially against right-handed hitters. You'll also see him throw a few more slider and cutters to right-handed hitters when he's not feeling that he has that good fastball. But that's a good one right there.
Gaining the inside corner. 6 strikeouts now for Santana. And remember, we had told you his last 10 starts he had never had more than 5. Well, he's broken that streak.
Boy, that ball right on the corner. We talked about it. Sam Holbrook has a nice home plate call. Nice, good strike zone. And Mr. Santana exploiting that.
Last time Santana had more than 5 strikeouts in a game, you got to go back to May the 27th against Washington. So that's more than 2 months ago.
Yeah, 12 starts ago, including this one. So
Josh Fogg up for the second time, and the first Colorado hit. And as we mentioned, first time in more than 3 years that a relief pitcher got his team's first hit in a game. Which I love trivia. 18th batter of the game for Santana. The 10th time in 18 batters he's been ahead 0-2. That'll get you a lot of strikeouts. Fogg barely keeps himself alive. Baroa fields the ground ball, and Santana's got the second out in the 5th.
I was looking the other day, you were talking about trivia about after Josh Willingham, of course, went deep with those 2 grand slams in one game. We know we have Fernando Tatis, who hit 2 in one game. He, of course, 2 in one inning. But I went and checked out the list. There were 13 guys total that had hit 2 grand slams in one game. So it was pretty cool. Even Robin Ventura on that list, Jim Gentile.
Well, the guy who's always been most prominent to me is Tony Cloninger.
Exactly.
Because he was a pitcher.
Yeah.
And for a long time, I think he was either the only one or one of only 2 in the National League who had ever hit 2 grand slams in a game. That was back in, I think, '66 with the Braves.
That is a real Little League game.
I'll tell you a great piece of trivia, and Bob Murphy turned me onto this because he was broadcasting Orioles games at the time. When Jim Gentile hit his 2 grand slams, he was platooning at first base, so the other team switched pitchers. He was pinch hit for.
Are you kidding me?
Paul Richards was the manager.
Push bunt by Fowler and a good one. Murphy can't possibly get it to Santana, who's going to have to run it down in foul ground,
and stumbles a bit. Could have really hurt himself. But Fowler had already held at first base. But Santana appears to be okay. It's a beautiful push bunt by Fowler, though.
Yeah, just perfect. And in fact, on that play there, and Murph has shown a lot of range, he's got to let Cora take that play because it's an easier play for Cora coming in maybe with a shovel. I don't think they would have been a play at all. But let's check out Santana almost with the bare hand, trying to do a little too much there. And watch this little, makes into a soccer player. And his back leg kind of hit, and his spike caught in that grass. But no problems for Johan.
So grab his left leg briefly there as he was straightening himself up, but no limp at all, so he appears to be just fine.
This is not a detriment or saying anything critique of any of the players on the field. When Santana is pitching, tends to be the toughest person on the field.
So the speedy Fowler is on with a bunt hit, the 4th Colorado hit. Now Spielborgs, who is 0 for 2. And he hits the first pitch in the air to right. And Frank Cora right there.
So Johan Santana has turned in 5 scoreless innings. We've gone halfway through here at Citi Field. Begun to lead off. Mets up 5-0.
Came out of a couple of days of seclusion to address the media and try and put to bed the episode from Monday where he slipped up badly in a press conference. And here's some of what Omar had to say.
First of all, let you know that I met with Adam Rubin. I called Adam Rubin and I said, listen, let's get together because I really wanted to see Adam face to face. I wanted to tell him, I wanted to apologize to Adam. I myself, I basically felt that I was out of character in saying what I said that day. I let the emotions get to me on that day. I felt really bad, and I still feel really bad that what I said that day. And Adam Rubin being in the room, you guys know me. That's just not the way Omar Minaya is. That's not what I stand for. But the bottom line is, I made a mistake.
And I thought it was very heartfelt on Omar's part, and I thought it was appropriate. There's only one problem. He continued to say that he regretted saying what he said when he said it, but he refused to take back the implication that Adam Rubin had somehow written the stories that he wrote about Tony Bernazard because of some desire to get a job in baseball. And I'm not understanding exactly why he has refused to take that back.
Well, very honestly, it just reveals that Omar believes there's a lot of truth in that, and that Adam had an agenda. Simple as that. If you don't take it back all the way, then you still feel there was an agenda on Adam's part.
And he had a conversation with Adam, a private conversation. They didn't want to share that, and I think that's entirely appropriate. That whatever they talked about in person stays between them.
Well, my problem is that the week started, and hopefully we'll just put this to bed after this. We missed that beautiful triple by Pagan, by the way, who continues to do an outstanding job. My problem is misplaced anger. You can be as angry at Adam Rubin for revealing things that are embarrassing that you did not want to hear. That's your prerogative. I can understand it. I can understand how angry you can be at having to let a friend go. The problem is that the things that have happened with Tony, which should have been the story this entire week, and I don't care how much the players know him, how much the players love him, care about him. At some point, there are parents out there that are sending their 16, 17, 18, and 19-year-old young men to the minor leagues. Talk about camp day here. And they are in charge and taken care of and nourished.
Little bloop by Cora, and Tulowitzki's got it for the first down.
By this organization. And you have a responsibility not only to teach these men how to play the game right, but also you have a responsibility to raise them right. Teach them baseball, teach them how to be men. And that should never be done by yelling, screaming, intimidation. It's done by thoughtful words, using your ability as a former player to nourish these players so that when they come up here, they can handle the off-the-field things and they can handle the on-the-field things. Those days of Woody Hayes and Duffy Doherty and Bobby Knight and yelling and screaming at people just does not work. These are smart times. These are times to think about what you're going to say and make sure the point gets across. It could be some tough love. You got to have that. I understand that. But threatening to fight a player in front of other players is just it's embarrassing.
Well, I believe this is now the final chapter. I wish Omar had closed the door a little bit more. He kind of still left it ajar, but this is going to be all the closure that we're going to get, I think. And hopefully for Omar's sake, he'll be able to move on and do his job effectively from here. David Wright has to turn out of the way, and it's 2-1.
And let's enjoy this wonderful team that doesn't have all of its elements, that is playing as hard as they can to get back into this race of 1-4 straight, have a chance to have an amazing doubleheader kind of day for Jerry Manuel and his squad, and trying to get this team close until other people come back.
That should get a run in. Hop is under it. Pagan heading home, and he will score easily. And the Mets now have a 6-0 lead. David Wright with a sacrifice fly brings home Pagan after Pagan's 5th triple of the year set it up. And the Mets now with a 6-run lead.
And just another beautiful at bat by this Mets team and David Wright. David not trying to do too much, not trying to pull and hit a home run. Just staying inside that baseball, getting the ball in the air, not on the ground, and scoring Pagan. Just beautiful team offensive baseball to watch.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now Daniel Murphy, who got the Mets' 5-run second inning started today with a double into the right field corner. Then he flied out to left in the 3rd. And he lines this one to center field. Fowler moving over to grab it and end the inning. But the Mets tack on a run in the bottom of the 5th. Angel Pagan finding the right field fence and finding the right angle on that fence. Able to leg out his 5th triple in only 108 at-bats this year. Quite a year for Pagan. And the Mets now have a 6-0 lead going to the 6th. Mets looking for their 5th straight win, and certainly in good territory with a 6-0 lead and their ace on the mound. Some of the camp groups that are here today for the noontime start. Part of the batting order, Todd Helton, first pitch swinging, grounds one out to Alex Coral. 1 pitch and 1 out for Santana. Well, Santana had the one difficult inning in the 4th, a single, a double, and a walk, loaded the bases, but he struck out Ian Stewart to get through that inning, and now appears to be cruising with a 6-0 lead.
I wasn't a camp guy. When you think of camp, and you went, I don't know how many years in a row, and you were a counselor also, is that one of the great memories of your life?
Well, there's day camp, which I only went to when I was really young, up until maybe age 9. And I think a lot of the kids here today are from day camps. But sleepaway camp is an entirely different thing, because you're living and breathing with a group of people for 8 weeks. And sometimes they become closer than your family. Hop hits one deep to left. Sullivan back onto the track and makes the grab. Boy, Corey Sullivan has had himself quite a game out in left field. A terrific play to take an extra base hit away from Hop for the second out. Let's check in with the studio. Chris Carlin standing by with a New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. Ty Wigginton, who has been the subject of some trade rumors heading to the deadline. Troy Tulowitzki pops one foul.
Well, just a nice job. Got turned around a little bit, but still had plenty of room. And I think what happens for a lot of these outfielders, even for Corey, see this, like, whew, man. The sun got in his eyes also was a problem for Corey, but luckily he had the sunglasses on his eyes.
And we think of right field as being the sun field here at Citi Field. A little surprising to see the sun be an issue in left.
I think what happens here for, and even for Corey, who came from Colorado, is that these outfielders don't realize how much room they have behind them. And they're going and going, and they're like, come on, where's the warning track? It's got to come up at some point.
I think also, you get a left-hand hitter hitting a ball to left field, and it's got a slice to it. And Corey, of course, has been a center fielder for most of his career. Popped up. Murphy coming in from first base to make the call, and he's got the sunglasses on. A 1-2-3 inning for Johan Santana. Took him just 7 pitches. 6-0 Mets. Sixth inning recap. Got to it a little late, guys. Johan Santana, 6 scoreless innings. He has struck out 6, most he's had in a game since May. Mets put together 5 straight hits in a 5-run second inning, and bidding for their 5th straight win. They've got a commanding lead as we go to the bottom of the 6th. Rockies make a couple of changes. Carlos Gonzalez comes in to play right field. He'll bat 9th. And on to pitch is Juan Rincon.
Well, the veteran who did most of his finest work when he was a Minnesota Twin as a setup man, had a struggle in his first game of the series throwing strikes and ended up getting the loss. Looking for a little better outing this time. That 5th inning, what'd you call it, the 5th inning wrap up? We'll do it in the 4th inning in the second game. That way
there you go. That'll balance things out. Jeff Francoeur leads off and takes low and outside from Rincon. If you remember the opening game of the series Monday night, tie game 8th inning, Rincon walked 3 batters left. And then Franklin Morales came on and gave up the grand slam to Tatis. So Rincon was charged with 3 runs, gets knocked onto his heels by that Francoeur comebacker, and that's the first out. Great job in relief, by the way, by Josh Fogg. You ask your long man to do 2 things: give you length and at least keep you around with a chance.
Yes.
And Fogg did both of those things today. 3 2/3. He allowed only 1 hit.
Zapadaka with the Mets as a relief pitcher in the mid-70s.
He came up, very interestingly, he came up late in '73. He was basically up as just an extra body in September, and the Mets got involved in an extra inning game against the Pirates, and he came in, faced 2 batters, walked them both left, One of them scored. He had an infinity ERA that year.
Oh,
that was his initiation to the major leagues. But later in the 70s, he became a very valuable reliever until he hurt his arm. And just a great guy to be around. Of course, he served as Mets pitching coach as well.
Kind of a sinker slider guy, right?
Corey Sullivan singled in a run back in the second inning.
Started 11 games in his Mets career.
Now that I don't remember. When was that?
1974. When he had a career high with the Mets, 103 innings pitched, but he was always around the 45 to 55 games per year, which was a lot in those days. By the way, just an outstanding guy. He was one of those guys that was in the minor league system as a pitching coach when I came up. That's revealing both of our age. But just an outstanding communicator. Loved to be around him. Really done a good job teaching these guys to different grips on their sinkers because he was a sinker slider guy himself.
Well, Dak has been the pitching coach with the Rockies, what now, 6-7 years? And Sullivan drives one toward the gap in right center. That one's going to go all the way back to the warning track. Sullivan's going to take the turn at second and head on to third. And he will make it easily with his first triple as a Met.
Well, if you ever want to bet the house on a certain player coming through, you always bet on the guy who's performing against his old team because there's that little extra incentive to show that team what you can do. A nice ball right in the middle. Doesn't quite get to the wall, but Fowler fumbled with it a little, but Sullivan would have easily had a triple anyway.
Sullivan had 10 triples in one season for the Rockies back in 2006 in less than 400 at-bats. That's a lot of triples.
Yeah. Well, it's the same kind of ballpark here as far as being conducive for triples as the park in Colorado.
So the Mets have 2 triples today. The infield in for Santos, and he takes a strike. Mets had a 3-triple game in Houston on the last road trip. First time they had done that in 15 years. Castillo, Pagan, and Reed had triples in that game. And Pagan and Sullivan today.
Just beat Omir with a fastball away. He's going to get a slider off the plate here. I think for Santos, if he can try that drill, hitting it the other way, that's the key.
And he hits it to the right side, runner holding, as Helton takes it to the bag for the second out. So not a contact play as Sullivan stays at third. So 2 out, and now Angel Baroa, who doubled in 2 runs back in the second inning. Only his second hit as a Met. That was the last of the 5 straight hits that the Mets put together against Jason Hamill in that second inning. And the Rockies are going to walk Mr. Baroa intentionally to bring up Santana. I'm not sure why you would do this in any event, but especially in a 6-0 game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a, what would you say? It's a play that you can't criticize because it's kind of a play you want to get the pitcher up. And Santana, despite what his batting average is a guy that can make contact. I would have pitched to Baroa personally, but I can understand why he's doing it.
Oh, and he almost threw it to the backstop on ball 4. Wow. Minaya had to show his ups. Every night at 10 p.m. and 1 a.m. it's 30 minutes of what matters the most to you. The latest news on all things New York sports. Hear it all on Geico Sports Night every night at 10 p.m. and 1 a.m. right here on SNY. So Santana will bat here in the 6th with runners at the corners and 2 out. Johan has struck out and popped up today 0 for 2. Santana with 1 run batted in this season. Mets have gone 5 for 9 with runners in scoring position today. Going ahead 0-2. Mets came into the day with a .283 batting average with runners in scoring position, right around the tops of the league. got to do that if you're not hitting home runs. And Santana down on 3 pitches to end the inning. So a triple from Sullivan and 2 left. Santana back to the mound for the 7th, up 6-0. Rockies 6-0, bidding for their 5th consecutive win. Part of the crowd here at Citi Field on a beautiful Thursday afternoon. Santana's thrown 93 pitches through 6 innings. He's walked only 1. He's struck out 6. Most strikeouts he's had in a game in better than 2 months.
You know, the Mets should feel, when I went and played the Cape Cod League, everyone told me it's against all the great players in baseball, and at the end of the summer I go, okay, as good as these guys. That's how the Mets should feel about their wild card chances, because they keep playing these hot teams like Houston, Colorado, and the matchup is very close, and in this instance the Mets have been better. So I think they should take a lot of solace and say, hey, listen, we've dug ourselves a hole, we got some guys coming back, but if you look at the matchup, we look pretty good.
Kevin looks like he's doing homework out there. I mean, he could be just sunning himself and pretending to work, but he looked like he was very intent there.
Really? Maybe not that intent.
See who he was talking to?
I saw who he was talking to.
It's my wife.
The boss.
Yes. Well, she's in charge of the whole Gary, Keith, and Ron event out there on the Pepsi porch. That's nice. Lynn there on the left. And Kevin with the microphone to the right. Garrett Atkins hits it to center. Pagan started back, but plenty of time to come in and grab it. 1 out.
Some interesting at-bats here by the Colorado Rockies, down by this 6-run deficit. A lot of really swinging the last 2-3 innings. And that's really how you have to attack Santana, but it looks a little more glaring when you're down by a few runs.
You know, guys, I can hear you, by the way.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Were you really working out there, or were you just hanging out, having a good time?
Actually, I was doing the accounting for Gary, Keith, and Ron.
How we doing?
On my BlackBerry. Charity's doing great, guys. Use a sunscreen today, by the way. It's hot out here.
Well, everyone is just so happy to see sunshine. I mean, I have honestly, I spent 10 summers here playing. Lived here for many, many years. I've never seen a summer quite like the summer we're having here, with all the rain in June, cold weather in June.
By the way, that Pepsi porch where the Gary, Keith, and Ron event is today, great seat.
Yeah, your wife said she sat out there a couple times now. She said the seats are unbelievable.
I mean, you feel like you're right on top of the action. Kevin could attest to that. He's out there now.
I sure would love to do that once. I don't think it's viable. But
I would love for us to be able to sit out there and do a game from out there. Wouldn't that be wonderful?
Yeah, in the front row, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that would be great out there.
This will be the 100th pitch from Santana today, and he gets Stewart swinging. 7 strikeouts now for Johan. And he's retired the last 6 in a row.
Oh, this fastball just so well placed. Foul tip by Stewart. Nice job by Omar Santos squeezing that ball. Look at that, just on the end of the glove.
Well, quite a comeback performance for Santana after that 5-run, 12-hit outing in Houston last Friday, as Iannetta fouls one back. Chris Iannetta has flied to left and taken a call third strike, 0 for 2. Don't forget another game tonight. Jonathan Neese tries to build on his fabulous outing last Saturday in Houston up against one of the hottest pitchers in baseball, Jorge De La Rosa.
Now, the folks who were here last night, of course, are the ones that will be at the game tonight if they can pull off 2 days in a row showing up here in Flushing.
Well, if they can't, they ought to give their tickets to somebody else.
Oh, they will. They will.
Foul back. And now Santana ahead 1-2. 103 pitches for Johan. So do we figure he's finishing up his effort here?
I think so. You know, you would love to. I mean, you hate to go in the bullpen, but you know, at this point in the season, sometimes when you got this kind of a lead, nice to save a couple of pellets for maybe later when it really matters.
8 strikeouts for Santana. It has been a big day for Johan. We'll see if he's done. Mets with a 6-0 lead. Now let's take a look at the view from the Pepsi porch with Kevin Burkhardt.
The view is sunny and hot, guys, but a beautiful day up here as the Mets in front of the Rockies. Obviously, the Rockies, so far this series, haven't shown you what's made them play so well under Jim Tracy. And I talked to Tracy today, and I asked him about their run, and he said, you know what, I don't really like to use that word run, because to me, we started playing the way we're capable of. We're playing aggressive baseball. We're playing the right way. And he said earlier in the year, we simply weren't playing aggressive enough. That's what he saw from this team. And I talked to him about this team's offense. We know they're a group of big-time home run hitters, second in the league in home runs. He said for us, the good thing that I like about our team is we understand what it takes, but we have to find ways to score when the big things aren't happening. He said it the other night when Troy Tulowitzki had that bunt attempt. I know you guys talked about that play. He actually liked that play, that all of his guys, no matter what the power, are willing to sacrifice and do what's needed for the team, as it worked today against Santana. Guys?
Well, very little has worked against Johan, who's been right on his game today.
Well, for you folks at home that don't know him, Jim Tracy is about as classy a guy as you're going to meet. And he had an interesting comment the other day when I was talking to him, manager for the Dodgers, and then he went to Pittsburgh, where they had young players, a little dearth of talent. He was there to rebuild them. I think the Pittsburgh organization thought that his calm way would fit perfectly with those young players. And he said one thing he learned is that he lost a little bit of his patience when he was managing with Pittsburgh. And he lost some of his patience with his young players. And he said that has really helped him as he's come over here to take over for this Colorado team. He said, you know what? We have a kid in center field that we've asked not only to be our everyday center fielder, Dexter Fowler, we've asked him to bat leadoff, we've asked him to be patient, we've asked him to hit the other way, we've asked him to take walks. All of these things are almost too much to ask of a young player. So when he has his moments that it looks like he doesn't belong here, he doesn't yell or scream. he takes it as, hey, listen, we've asked too much of him. He's not going to always come through, so I'm going to be patient with him so he doesn't feel like he's letting the team down. And those are all the things, I think, that managers on their second or third time around can learn. And I think Jerry Manuel has learned some of those things also.
I think it's also very different. Sometimes you're better off, like, for instance, Joe Torre started out his managerial career as Pagan goes down swinging, second strikeout for Rincon. Started out his career managing a Mets team that was not an elite team at that time. And I think sometimes it's easier to do that and then work your way up to a better situation, as opposed to Tracy, who started out managing for one of the elite organizations in baseball, a team with a lot of resources with the Dodgers, and then kind of had to take a step back into a different kind of situation in Pittsburgh.
And also took a step back in the sense that there are a lot of people that felt he should have still been retained in Los Angeles, of course. Who took over for him? Brady Little?
Yes.
Okay.
1-1 to Alex Cora, who played for Tracy in L.A. By the way, you know, speaking of the Pirates, I mean, Tracy got the axe there, and now here they are breaking things down again. I mean, the Pirates in the last few days have traded away their 4 highest salaried players. As Cora lofts one into right field, and that's going to fall for a hit. Takes a turn and holds on as Hop gets to it. And so Alex Cora has his second straight 2-hit game. Now Santana appears to be done for the night after 7 tremendous innings. 8 strikeouts, his best strikeout total in better than 2 months. 7th time this year that Santana has given up 4 hits or less in a game, as Bobby Parnell gets set to come on in the 8th. Here's David Wright, who with a sacrifice fly in the 5th inning tied Edgardo Alfonso for 5th place on the club's all-time RBI list. Shoots one foul.
Well, it just reveals to you Santana's last start an anomaly, because now 3 times out of his last 4, nothing, no runs.
I want to get back to the Pirates for a second. Their 4 highest salary players: Jack Wilson, Adam LaRoche, Freddie Sanchez, Ian Snell, all dealt away. Plus, they dealt away Dave McLeod and Nigel Morgan. It's going to be their 17th consecutive losing season, which is going to be a major league record. What are they doing? I mean, seriously, are they trying to compete at this point? Have they just decided to break it down completely and start from scratch again? Is it just a matter of saving money at this point? I'm really confused as to what the Pirates are trying to do, because as Wright lifts one to deep right center field, Hop and Fowler back in the gap, and Hop can't get it. It's off the wall. Cora being waved around third by Razor Shines. Relay throw to the plate, not in time. It's an RBI double for David Wright. His second RBI of the day, and the Mets expand their lead to 7-0.
Oh, you slowly notice more and more of David Wright's hits are going to right and right center field. Hop got a little wary of the wall, which is justifiably so. And Alex Cora, of course, checking out to see if there's going to be a play. Gets on second base, a little hesitation, and now picking up Razor, and had enough to score easily for another RBI by David.
Yeah, of course, we both forgot it's Carlos Gonzalez in right field, who took over for Hop in the last inning. There's a strike to Daniel Murphy. So Wright moving up another list. He's now tied Keith Hernandez for 10th place on the club's all-time hit list. 939 hits now for David. So the Mets with their 11th hit of the day. Murphy 1 for 3, doubled back in the second.
Well, watch this play here by Gonzalez. Reaches out, just tips the top of his glove. That was a really fine effort by Carlos. Gave up his body up against that wall.
And Murphy hits it sharply right at Stewart. That's the second out as Wright moves over to third.
Well, answered, I don't know what they're doing in Pittsburgh. Can you imagine if you are a fan and you've gone through 16 losing seasons, and really 2 of those players, Wilson and, three, and Morgan, and of course Sanchez, 3 of the hardest working guys you'll ever see, gamers.
Well, the thing that confused me was they made this big show a week before the trading deadline of offering Sanchez and Wilson long-term deals to stay at enormous pay cuts. I mean, half of what they were making. So it certainly looked like it was just for show, and of course both players turned them down, and then they traded them both away. So it's almost as though they were making a show of staying stable in that area, but obviously going in an entirely different direction.
Just all window dressing. They do have some fine young pitchers. Duke, of course, is outstanding. Another ball hit hard.
Rincon gets knocked down and gets up to make the play on Frank Coeur to end the inning. But the Mets had a run on David Wright's double off the wall in right. Frank Coeur taking out a pitcher. Good play by Rincon to recover. Trivia question: the only player to play in 3 consecutive World Series with 3 different teams.
Wow. You got it already.
No, I have no idea. No idea.
3 different World Series, 3 consecutive years
With
on 3 different teams.
That's a tough one.
Bobby, you got any answer? No. Bobby Parnell hasn't given up a run in his last 8 1/3 innings here, trying to clean up a beautiful effort by Johan Santana in this 7-0 game.
Carlos Gonzalez up for the first time. Gonzalez came in to play right field in a double switch. And takes up and away for ball 1. Gonzalez, one of the 3 players the Rockies acquired when they traded Matt Holliday to the A's. They also got back their closer Houston Street in that deal. Street has been marvelous. We haven't seen him in this series because the Rockies haven't had a lead for him.
So David, our statistician, of course, he gave me an unbelievable clue. He said that I played against him. What is that?
There are a few hundred guys who qualify.
A few hundred, like 1,500 or whatever.
But against them, not with them. So at least we know what era it was.
Remember, there used to be a time with guys like Mookie Wilson or Ricky Henderson and David Cohn, where you kind of were a gun for hire late in the season for teams that were going to play in the playoffs.
Mike Stanley.
Mike Stanley, there you go.
How about your buddy Rick Honeycutt, who was once traded 5 days before the end of the season? The Yankees picked him up for the last 5 days of the season. Wow. To try and win a division. Didn't qualify for the postseason, of course.
Of course, yeah.
Two and two to Gonzalez. Well, Parnell, who's been on top of his game lately after a very rough couple of months. And he goes full to Gonzalez. Santana, 7 innings, no runs, 4 hits, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts, drops his ERA from 3.12 down to 2.96, and Gonzalez thought that was ball 4, but it was only ball 3. Everybody on the field was confused.
I never understand how that happens, by the way. You know what happens now? Automatic punch out. Automatic. Thought he had the base.
No matter where the pitch is.
Well, I don't care. It's an automatic punch out.
Just don't bounce it. First time you've been wrong all year.
I'm wrong a lot. Ask a lot of people.
Time to check in with the studio. Chris Carlin standing by with the New York State Smokers Quit Line game break.
All right, Chris, and we'll be looking forward to that. Mets hope to be trying for a 4-game sweep of this series when they take the field tonight, leading 7-0 here. Dexter Fowler 1 for 3 on a bunt single his last time up.
You know, my recommendation to young players, young pitchers, when they're pitching the second game of doubleheader. Remember, I played in the day where you didn't have the day-night doubleheader. It was a normal doubleheader. Would be, I would say to Jonathan, do what you would do for any night game. Stay home. You know, have your lunch at the time you like to have your lunch. If you like to take a nap, take your nap as Fowler goes down, napping on that fastball away, and just come in just like it's a night game. Don't stay here all afternoon. And I don't know if he's at the ballpark or not.
Of course, this is a lot easier because he knows when the game is going to start. When you're pitching the second game of a straight doubleheader, you have no idea when it's going to start.
Absolutely. Well, you know it's going to start 45 minutes after the last pitch, but that could be 3.5 hours. It could be 2.5 hours. But do what you would do normally on a night game, because if you sit here all day in the clubhouse watching the game, it just you start to get lethargic.
Well, it's a good thing that it's Neese and not Livan Hernandez, because Livan has to be here because he might have to pinch hit.
That's right. That's right. I'd like to see that Jerry has told Livan the last few weeks that he is a viable bat off the bench.
Spilborn shoots one foul and it's 1-1. Well, the New York Times is reporting today, story dated today's edition, written by Michael Schmidt, that Manny Ramirez and David Ortiz were both among the 100+ players who tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs in 2003. And that is according to lawyers who they say have knowledge of the results. Grounded to the right side, Cora runs it down. It's only played at first. And that's the second out as Gonzalez moves up to second. Now, I don't know about you, Ronnie, but I have felt all along that it would be in the best interest of everybody in baseball, including the players, if they just released that whole list, that it would blunt the impact of all these dribs and drabs of information that are coming out.
Yeah, because it's eventually every single name is going to come out at some point, because people have the list. And if people have the list, human nature is that someone's going to be inclined to reveal that list. And right now, like you said, it's coming out in dribs and drabs. And it's ironic in a way that Mike Schmidt would write that article, not that because Michael ever did performance-enhancing drugs, because he didn't, but he also had some strong thoughts about it. The former great slugger for the Philadelphia Phillies, who said, if I'm quoting him right, he said he didn't know what he would do if he played during the steroid era.
And he's not the only guy to say that.
Yeah.
Darryl Strawberry has said the same thing. 1-0 to Helton, and he pops one up in foul ground out of play. So there are now, that makes 7 players who've now been tied to that report of the positive test from 2003. Barry Bonds, Alex Rodriguez, Sammy Sosa, Jason Grimsley, David Segui, and now today Manny Ramirez and David Ortiz, both reported to be on that list as well.
The problem for Manny and Manny Wood now being on that list is that now we're talking about a long tenureship of using performance-enhancing drugs, and makes his accomplishments even less legitimate if it's that long a period of time.
Right. Well, the revelation is Ortiz, because nobody has definitively linked his name with steroids or other performance-enhancing drugs until now.
And he's kind of, his comments in the past have been very finger-pointing by nature, that he would never do anything like that. So
Palmeiro-ish?
Yeah, Palmeiro-ish. It's a shame, because you know, there are guys out there that have not done performance-enhancing drugs, but it seems like that list is getting smaller and smaller.
2-2 to Helton. Lifted to left. Sullivan is there. And so Bobby Parnell works around a leadoff walk to keep the Rockies off the scoreboard. Still 7-0 New York. Who played against Ronnie was the only player who played in 3 consecutive World Series with 3 different teams, and it is Don Baylor, who is on the bench with the Rockies, Red Sox, Twins, and A's.
Don Baylor, just a great player. And in fact, if you look back at that '86 World Series, one of the things that was missing is he playing a little more in that series. Of course, Buckner was really banged up and had an incredible year, but he would have been tough to play against Don.
Garrett Atkins moves from third base to first base. Omar Quintanilla comes into play second, and Ian Stewart moves over to third as they take Helton out. And the Queens native and Garden City High School product Matt Daly makes his second appearance in the series.
Pride of Bucknell Bison. He's done a nice job, hasn't he?
He has, and had to battle some nerves here the other night in his first major league appearance in Flushing. The former Rocky Sullivan having a good day. Single to center to drive and run in the second. Triple to right center in the sixth. So Corey is 2 for 3.
It might have been harder on Mr. Daly if he was pitching in the old Shea, right?
Well, he said he was jogging around the ballpark on the warning track before the game, which he does every day. And he said he expected the guards to tell him, "Hey kid, get off the field."
That's funny.
He used to come to Shea all the time as a kid. And Sullivan lifts another one to right center field, not as far this time, and Fowler gets back there to grab it for the first out.
I didn't get a chance to talk to Matt. I wonder if he's been able to retain his Queen's tongue.
Well, some of us are able to
put it to sleep.
Change that.
Well, I mean, you know where I come from. I have to stop it too. When I speak to my brothers, I talked to my brother the other day. He has a daughter, and he said that. I said, "How does Gabrielle doing?" He goes, "She is doing so super duper in school." Teacher said she is one of the so wicked smart that she's just going to be unbelievable. I'm like, you need to take yourself and then end it.
Well, you know, those things can be done. I just want to say, as Omir Santos, who's 1 for 3 on the day, swings and misses. Look at Ricky Henderson.
That was awesome.
Ricky went and worked with a speech coach, and he was like, he was still Ricky,
yeah,
but it's like he was a different guy.
Did an outstanding job. Did not refer to himself in the third person once in that speech.
Santos down swinging on 3 pitches, and there are 2 out.
You know, going in the Hall of Fame, I played with Ricky in Oakland. Ricky was the only player, and I don't know, sometimes this might even sound like a critique, but it's not. Ricky is the only player I ever played with in my career that would come to the ballpark someday and he would say, "Ricky's going to get his today." And it would be 3 hits, a couple of stolen bases, 3 runs scored, maybe a big fly leading off. He was that kind of guy. When he was motivated, couldn't get him out.
Well, there was a period of time in the 1980s when he was simply the best player in the game. Not just the best leadoff hitter in the game. Angel Baroa had a 2-run double back in the Mets' 5-run second inning. Mets' biggest inning since June the 7th, and they have ridden that to a 7-0 lead. And Carlos Gonzalez has this one lined up in right field. And so it's a 1-2-3 inning for the local product, Matt Daly. Now the Rockies come to bat, trying to avoid being shut out a second straight game. IOTV. Get the best in HD free with IOTV. By Geico. By Citi. And by Bob's Discount Furniture, America's #1 furniture retailer of the year. Well, the Mets have held the Rockies scoreless for 21 straight innings. Tim Redding will try and complete the shutout.
Hasn't pitched in 11 days since the 19th. Back out there is Tim Redding to clean up this game. Very quick moving game, fast-paced game. Santana was outstanding, as is the want of these relievers. They get out there in that bullpen and they like to just change up the facial hair. And for all these Mets players, of course, they've taken a pact not to shave until they get to 500.
Well, the way they're going, that might be this weekend.
And by the way, if they get on that kind of roll,
they won't shave that.
No one should shave. Pretend you're a hockey team in March and April.
Wait till early November to shave.
Right.
Omar Minaya up for the first time. Came on for defense in the last inning. Mets trying to put together back-to-back shutouts for the first time in more than a year. Last time they did it was against the Rockies in July of last season. Part of the futility that the Rockies have shown in Flushing. You see the last back-to-back shutouts July of last year, and
it was right before the All-Star break, right?
It was, and we mentioned the Rockies on the verge of losing for the 21st time in the last 23 games they've played on both sides of the parking lot.
You know, the city stays open late here, Gary.
Maybe. Tim Redding trying to remember what it's like to pitch from a big league mound. It's 11 days. That's a long time for a pitcher to go without pitching in a game. Pat Mish is also gone since the 19th. The Mets, by the way, if you missed it earlier, designated Elmer Descends for assignment. So they were basically carrying 2 or 3 long men, so they've excised one of those. They added Robinson Cancel. There's Robinson to give them an extra catcher and an extra bat off the bench. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. So Redding goes upstairs to fan Minaya for the first out. That is 10 strikeouts for Met pitching today.
Nice by Tim, just going right after the hitter Minaya. And when you don't play a lot, you tend to be really aggressive, trying to get a base hit. Cost Minaya there.
So 1 out and nobody on now. Troy Tulowitzki, who has the only extra base hit for the Rockies today. This is a Colorado team that is second in the National League in runs scored behind the Phillies. And they have now gone 21 straight innings without scoring. Their last run was the Clint Barmas home run leading off the 5th inning on Monday night. One and one to Tulowitzki.
Is the second game really at 7:10? Can you change it up a little bit?
Maybe to 5:10? Yeah, it's going to be a long wait around here. It's not even 2:30. 2-1 to Tulowitzki. Well, it gives you an opportunity to try out some of the culinary fare around the ballpark.
You know what I'm going to do really? I'm going to walk around the ballpark because I really have not been able to do that. So that's what I'm going to do. Walk around, check out different seats, go all the way to the top turnbuckle, top deck up there under the scoreboard and check it out.
Make sure you stop by the Pepsi porch.
Pepsi porch, yeah. I want to see what that seat's like. What else am I going to do?
Take the train to Citi Field as the 4-game series with the Diamondbacks begins tomorrow night at 7:10 p.m. Mass transit is the faster, easier, and greener way to Citi Field. Visit Mets.com or call 718-507-TIXX for your tickets now. The Diamondbacks have not had a good year, but they can pitch.
That's where I'm sitting, right there.
To
the headless horseman.
Person we can't see the head of. I assume that person can see underneath that scoreboard. And there's a walk to Tulowitzki. So 1 out base runner for the Rockies. All right, after this game is over, be sure to join Chris Carlin and Bobby Ojeda for all of today's highlights, exclusive interviews. We'll hear from Johan Santana about his great effort today. Jerry Manuel's post-game reactions as well. Lincoln Mercury post-game live. It's all coming up right after this afternoon's game. And after all 162 Mets games, including the one tonight, only on SNY. So I guess we have a full post-game show after this game, and then at 6:30 another full pregame show. What new stuff are they going to find to talk about?
Well, they'll find it because Chris and Bobby, with their producer Gerard Guilfoyle, of course, good guys. They've really developed a friendship, Chris and Bobby, which is really nice. Enjoy hanging out, talking baseball. Watching Bobby O the last few times. He's a guy that had no experience in working on TV. He's taken to it like it's pitching.
And he's not afraid to voice his opinions.
You know, I listened to him about a week ago. Mets are going through a harsh time, and You know why you really loved it? Because he was very passionate by the way he said it. And that's what it's all about.
Met fans want to hear. Hit toward the hole. Nice stop by White. Gets the out at second, but it's dropped, and it's not an out. He's safe at second base. Well, that's the second time that's happened to Alex Cora in the last couple of weeks. A ball where he was just unable to catch the throw.
Well, this is a play that you usually wouldn't see from Alex, and probably the moment of trying to complete the double play overtook the sensibility of making sure that you get an out. In the 7-0 game, it is beautiful gravy to turn that double play there, but of course, out to out is what you want to do late in the game.
So it's an error on Cora, who, remember, has not played much second base the last couple of months. He's been playing almost exclusively at shortstop. Nonetheless, an error on him, an assist for Wright, 2 on and 1 out. Rockies with a chance to break up this shutout string. Ian Stewart is 0 for 3. Let me ask you this, with another game tonight and with the Rockies now a bit downtrodden, does it make a difference if they score in this inning?
Oh, I think it definitely does, yeah, because they can say to themselves, hey, we had some good at-bats late. We played 27 outs. You can see a lot of teams have folded their tent late in the game. And something to work off of. I mean, you're frustrated when you haven't scored, what, 21, 22 innings now? And if you're Jim Redding, you're saying to yourself, okay, I haven't pitched in 11 days. Okay, certainly I'm not going to be sharp, but everyone before me has been just about perfect, and let's clean this game up.
By the way, that's the first error the Mets have made since they started this winning streak. Chris Iannetta on deck. Good off-speed pitch by Redding, and it's 2-2. Stewart just 1 for 10 in this series, and the Rockies, with runners in scoring position in these 3 games, 1 for 17. All their scoring came on 2 home runs in the first game by Tulowitzki and Barnes. 2-2 off the inside corner in a full count. Tulowitzki walked. He's at second. Atkins reaching on the fielder's choice. He's at first. Down to first base. Murphy gets the out at second. Barreau with a jumping relay in time for the game-ending double play. 3-6-1. Murphy starts another one, and the Mets have their second straight shutout for the first time in more than a year. They've now won 5 games in a row and gotten back to within 2 games of 500.
And they're doing it the way you're supposed to do it, with some fine pitching.